Two shoes currently in for testing and one brand new racing shoe. This is my half marathon training shoe rotation. We'll break this down into sections. Number one is going to be the easy shoes I've been using. Number two is going to be for the shoes I'm using for my workouts that are non-race specific. And number three is the shoes that I am using for my goal pace workouts. And then number four, we'll talk about the race shoes at the end. And I'm currently on week 7 out of 12 of my half marathon training, over halfway, which means that my rotation is pretty much set in stone. We've got the racing shoe coming in, which we'll talk about at the end. But other than that, most of these shoes are going to see the duration of this training block. So without further ado, let's jump into the easy shoes. So there are 5 shoes that I need to showcase in this section. We'll start with the Brooks Glycerin 22. So this is one that I've just finished testing now and I need to record my thoughts on. So this one has come into the rotation later and I've done a couple of runs in it now, so I feel good enough to showcase my thoughts on this one. The 361 Centauri 2, I did my testing back in December, so that came into the rotation in the early part. And again, I've really enjoyed that, but that hasn't got back into the rotation yet. And again, just like the Brooks Glycerin 22, the 361 and Meraki 6 has now done its testing. I've completed that. So again, another one that I need to sort a video out for. This is another Max Cushion Cruiser. And the other one that was used a little bit, which I don't have on me now, is a Nike Pegasus Plus. That was used kind of before the training block and it also came in at the beginning. But of course we had that one shoe that has come in and kind of dominated everything. And that is of course the Asics Nova Blast 5. So I'm kind of settled now on this one for my easy work. I actually produced a 100-mile video on this last week, I think it was. And I basically said I'll put this one down for a bit and let some others get some miles in them before picking this back up. The reality is I ended up going for this one on my long run on the weekend and I'm not sure really what I'm going to use. I'll split the mileage at the moment between this and the Pegasus Plus, but to be honest with you, I kind of want to re-pick up the 361 Centauri 2 because I really enjoyed that one as well. Of course, we've got those other two that I mentioned, but I've got to get videos done on those first. And the reason I'm appreciating this one is just because of its versatility more than anything. It's got plenty of cushioning for those easy days. It's very, very comfortable. It protects the legs and it really does have that kind of Nova Blast 1 bounce back that I really, really enjoyed and missed from previous versions. I really feel like they've done a good job in this. And again, a long run on the weekend that I did just kind of proved that. I did another long run workout and it just did so well. Basically just about 2 hours in this shoe and loved every single second. A lot of you guys in the comments have mentioned with this shoe that you feel over time it starts to bottom out and get a bit flat. I just haven't experienced it. 2 hours in the shoe and I was still bouncing along. So for me, this is currently the solid #1 option for those easy day workouts. So the Brooks Hyperion 2 comes into that realm of workouts that are not race specific. So maybe those fartlek workouts out on the trails, some of those over-under workouts. In fact, I actually did one of those today. And all of those non-specific workouts that I'm working maybe slightly quicker or slower than what my goal effort is going to be. Now, this one has been a mainstay in the rotation. It really hasn't budged here or there. I've done a bit of testing, let's say with the Mizuno Neo Vista. The Nova Blast has come in and done one of the workouts as well. But for the most part, literally since week 1, because I picked this up towards the back end of 2024. It has been absolutely fantastic. In fact, I tipped the 100-mile mark in this shoe today, so that's another video that I need to sort out. But I have to say, this one does everything I need it to for those workouts. Of course, you work harder. There are occasions on those workouts when you think, oh man, I wish I had a bit of carbon under my feet just to give me a little bit extra, but I want to save that for race day. Plus, I'm trying to use carbon-plated shoes only once a week on those goal race pace workouts, and they've only come in really in the second half of the block. And so let's move on to section 3, which is the workout shoe that I want to use to practice my goal pace. This has been where the headache is because in my last marathon training block, I was absolutely nailing the Adidas Adios Pro 3, ramped that thing up to 500 miles and I used that for everything. And that was done in all my goal pace stuff. And then I saved my race shoes for the race itself. And they ended up being the Nike Next Percent version 2s because I managed to get a fresh pair of those. But this block, of course, I haven't had that. Now, these workouts have only kicked in the second half of the block. So I've only really done 2 of them so far. And we're going to be rolling through to the end. And there's only another sort of 2 or 3 to do because I've got a few races scattered in, but it has been a bit of a headache as to know which shoe to choose. So I'll show you the 2 that I've used so far. The Saucony Endorphin Elite took week 1's workout, and to be fair, it did really well. I mean, this thing has gone flat so damn fast, unbelievably. Like, this is my favorite racing shoe, and if I could get a fresh pair for a reasonable price, then I would, because this is kind of like the peak, the goal. I love this shoe. There's been nothing better for me. The Vaporfly 1 and 2 have always been really good. I've preferred the 1. I prefer the upper on the 1. I feel like I love that streamlined fit that the Vaporweave gives. The upper on the 2 is a bit sloppier. However, both shoes work really well. But when this one came along, it just blew them out of the water, and I loved it. And as I said, second pair would be absolutely fantastic. However, when they got past the 100-mile mark, they really fell off a cliff. They went so flat. And so what I want to do now, really more than anything, is just wear them into the ground. They've got about 160 miles on them, and I noticed they really kind of started to go flat around 110-ish miles. There was one race that it was okay, and then the next race it was absolutely gone. I'm noticing the grip is also going on it. It's quite slick now. So the tackiness on the rubber has completely gone, and I do feel like there's a lot of this shoe that is a little bit risky to run in. But I do find with the aggressive speed roll at the end, the aggressive rocker, I can still turn over really fast. And I put in a really good workout in this shoe, and I hit some really good paces. And so as far as I'm concerned, it did the job. And the other one is the Alphafly 3. I used this last week, and a little bit unfair really, because it was kind of bought out in not very good circumstances, shall we say. I was pretty badly underfueled, and there was a lot of fatigue in the body, as there is right now, and I had to abort the workout. I wasn't injured, didn't feel particularly bad, I just felt absolutely drained, and so I didn't really give it a fair shot. But it did good for whilst it was sort of out there, but I just felt like I couldn't give it what I wanted to. Now, to be perfectly honest with you, this is a shoe that I was considering for my last marathon, but then realised, as with the Alphafly 1, I never really felt it. The 2 was atrocious. The 3 is much better than the 2, but for me, in a UK size 13, it's so much shoe, and I'm just very aware that when I'm running, I have a humongous moon boot on my feet. And although I can get going and pick up the pace, I kind of want a shoe to disappear underfoot. I don't want to be thinking about it when I'm racing. And so I sacked off that idea of using it for the marathon when I was training for Abingdon. So pulling it back out now made me realise that I'm probably never really going to race in this shoe again. So I might as well get some miles out of it. I pay for it with my own money, £285. I might as well just kind of wear it into the ground. So it had a go. It will get another go, I feel. I need to start using it a little bit more, and I need to really give it a fair shout. Truth be told, I think a Saucony Endorphin Elite that's flat as a pancake is actually still better than an Alphafly version 3. I'd still choose this one. So that leads me on to the racing shoe for this training block. So at the moment, I've got 3 pairs of Nike Vaporfly Next Percent 2s in and around 80, 90 miles. They're right on the cusp of still being raceable, but tipping over into that point where they're not. I could think between, let's say, the 3 of the shoes I reckon I could get, if I do some shorter distance stuff, maybe another sort of 8 to 10 small 5 and 10Ks out of the 3 of them left before they probably lose a bit of their spark and become training shoes. However, I've got to give another shoe a go now, because I'm not going to be able to get these Vaporfly 2s for very much longer. I might be able to pick them up on eBay, StockX, places like that, but the reality is they're going to be phased out. So coming in to the rotation is the Puma Deviate Nitro Elite 3. I managed to snag a pair when the Pro 4s from Adidas launched, and I realized they did not have my size. Nowhere had my size. So I thought, I'm not going to hang around. We're going to test these 3s. They're a shoe that last year I mentioned I really wanted to test. You guys have raved about them. I've spoken to a lot of you guys in person about it. A lot of you have said it's very comparable to the Vaporfly. A lot of you love it. So I'm prepared to give it a go. And in less than 2 weeks' time, I've got my first road race as well, the Linda Franks 5, which is a 5-mile fast road race. And the week after that, I've got the Boddington 10-mile race. So I've got 2 races in quick succession for me to be able to test this shoe out on. So if it goes well in Linda Franks, and ultimately, I'm not going to just get a racing shoe and not race in it. I've got to test it in a race environment. So we'll get a shot at Linda Franks, and if it's really good, then of course I'll use it at Boddington and then Alicante. If I'm not a huge fan, then I'll swap back to the Vaporfly version 2 and take a pair of those out to Alicante as well. So all in all, despite all the shoes that I've shown you, a relatively simplistic rotation in the fact that I'm just looking really for an easy day shoe, a workout shoe that I can take out on the trails and do those fartleks, over and unders, that sort of stuff with, and then a goal race pace shoe that I can test with. Ultimately, it's just been a bit of a headache without the Adios Pro 3 3, got to be honest with you, I looked for deals over Christmas. One came up around £150, but of course over the year I've seen them down as low as nearly £100 flat. And I just thought, do you know what? I know my luck. I'll buy those and then they'll come up even cheaper. So I just pressed pause on those, but of course that's meant that I've had to use the other 2 shoes. And of course my easy runs have just been a lot of testing out. But now we're kind of through that testing phase. I can lock back into the Nova Blast and the Pegasus Plus. And I'll throw the question back out to you guys. What's your favorite training shoes right now in your rotation? Because I know a lot of you are going to be locked in and laser focused on your spring training blocks, whether that's a marathon, half marathon, 10K, 5K, whatever it is, and whatever you're training for right now. It'd be great to hear from you down in the comments below. I know a lot of my athletes are locked in and laser focused. Speaking of which, if you're interested in coaching, please do check out the link in the description below. It'll take you through to my website where you can read more on what you get for the coaching service and fill out the form, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. So that's it from me today, guys. If you're interested in hearing about what sort of shape I'm in right now, I'll leave a link to the Hereford 10K video up here. That was a good fun one. And if you're interested in the Nova Blast version 5 after 100 miles, a more longer term update, check out the video down here. You can click through to those, and I'll see you guys over there.